everyone, my name is Andrea and this is Kulfi, and today we're going to talk all about potty training. Let me start by telling you about our potty training journey and why I had to find my own method to teach Kulfi how to go to the toilet in the right place. We got Kulfi when he was 8 weeks old, and the first thing we did was confine him in a single room, and whenever he needed the toilet, or it looked like he needed the toilet, we would carry him outside, through our hallway, through the front door, down the stairs, into the garden. Because we live in a flat, this is the simplest thing that we could have done, because we didn't want him to learn that he can go to the toilet indoors. As we were doing this more and more frequently, and the hints I heard was every hour on the hour, or right after they drink, or right after they play, or after they've had food, the number of accidents we had at home was decreasing. However, it required our constant attention. I could not do anything while he was awake because I was scared that he would go to the toilet when he's not supposed to. He would literally need to go to the toilet about 10 to 30 minutes after he drank, and he was drinking also quite frequently, which meant that it felt like he was constantly going to the toilet, and I was not prepared to take him out like 20 times a day. After 10 weeks of age, I realized we needed to do something different because the progress just wasn't there anymore. And I realized that we never taught Kulfi how to tell us that he needs to go outside. It's also worth noting that after 11 weeks of age, his bladder control got a lot better and the amount of toilet accidents went down just because he needed to go a little less often than a completely brand new puppy. He probably also got used to the environment and he got into more of a routine, which helped us coordinate when he would need to go to the toilet better. He is now 14 weeks old and he's quite reliable with his bell ringing, which is the technique I'm going to introduce in the next steps. And I would say that he's about 85% reliable with this technique. He's still not fully there yet, which is partly due to us introducing it 2 weeks later than we should have, and partly because sometimes I'm in meetings and I just can't go when he needs to, and that's completely on us. We're hoping that over the next couple of weeks he will get completely reliable such that we won't have to keep our eye on him anymore, and we will fully rely on the sound of the bells to take him to the toilet when he needs to. Now I'm going to tell you the steps that I followed to get him to ring the bells on command, which is the most reliable technique for anyone living in a flat, in my opinion. I realized something crucial that no one told me about potty training before. You have to make it super clear to your puppy how to tell you that they need to go to the toilet, and we never taught Kulfi how to do that. The first thing I did is I taught Kulfi the touch command. It works like this. Touch. Good boy. In this command, I ask Kulfi to boop his snoot onto my palm, and whenever he does that, he gets a treat. The good thing about that command is that eventually it can be transferred onto objects and other body parts. Once he was familiar with the touch command, which actually he understood pretty quickly because I was rewarding him every time he got that command, I bought a set of hanging bells. I'll insert a picture here of what they look like. To then teach him how to use those bells, I asked him to do the touch command on those bells when I was holding them in my hand. There's 2 really important things about the bells. The first one is only reward your puppy when the bells make a sound. Otherwise, the bells won't be useful to you because you won't be able to hear them ringing when they're on the door. Secondly, I started with the touch command as opposed to other conventional potty training techniques that involve constantly taking your puppy outside, because I wanted to make sure he understood that touching things with his nose was rewarding, and that was the signal we wanted to use and associate it with a particular activity. What I did then is that in the same training session where I introduced the bells for the first time and asked him to touch them on command, I hung them on the door and asked him to do the touch command on the door. It's important to do that in the same training session, otherwise your puppy might associate the bells more with treats than with going outside. Whenever he touched the bells on the door, what I did was I opened the door, and then eventually I opened the door and we went outside for potty. The fourth step was that following all of this training, whenever we then went outside for the toilet, I first waited for him to make a sound by touching the bells. In the first couple instances, it took him a while to understand, and I kept saying the touch command and pointing to the bells until he made the slightest noise whatsoever. Afterwards, I would open the door immediately and take him outside and say aloud yes or good boy, whatever your kind of cue is for when your puppy does the right thing. Eventually, he learned not only to just boop the bells, but also paw the bells, and I'll insert a clip of how he does it right now. What you really want to make sure is that while your puppy might get quite comfortable ringing the bells, it will still take them a while to understand that they need to do that every time they go to the toilet. So do still keep an eye out on them and don't let them roam around without your attention until you can fully rely on their bell ringing. Kulfi, at the 14 weeks he is now, is quite good at ringing the bells, but I would say it only happens about 85% of the time, and he still has a couple accidents, especially when he is nervous or when there's a lot of things happening in the house, or he might just forget that that's where the bells are. The bells have honestly been the most successful technique we've had with potty training so far. And it's the only way that we managed to tell Kulfi that in a flat environment where I can't just let him out through the garden door, this is the way to let us know that he needs to go outside. It's possible that your puppy will associate the bells with rewards quite strongly, in which case, take away the rewards and make sure you take your puppy outside whenever they ring the bell, and it's possible that this will also happen multiple times in a row. We hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one. Bye!